Here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4, up on YouTube Live. Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado.
What's happening, buddy? It's been a while. I feel like I haven't seen you in weeks.
Yeah, well, I've been away for a couple of weeks, but I'm back.
Yeah.
Better than ever, I think. Trying. Anyway, how we been? How you feeling?
All good. All good. Had a very interesting round of golf today. We played with this young junior golfer who started playing golf 2 years ago, and he was hitting the ball like near me. Like he was 5 yards behind me, and we were both kind of like cranking it pretty good. I couldn't believe that this kid had only taken up golf 2 years ago. I said to him halfway through the round, I go, in 5 years, I can't even imagine how good you're going to be. Like this guy was piping it. So shout out to my guy, Lucas, Adam. We persevered the downfall of rain today.
I was going to say, you guys played today? Like today was a no bueno for me and most normal people. It was terrible weather around Toronto this morning.
No, we were out there.
You got to grind, I guess.
Yeah, we took shelter. We were grinding.
Okay.
And it turned out being a great day. I can't say that the same was for the Toronto Blue Jays last night, Hazy. It was not a good day for them.
No, it wasn't.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was not. And unfortunately, it's just a Groundhog Day scenario for the Jays. It's the same feeling every single day. Yesterday, what made it feel somewhat unique is the fact that Dylan Cease got hit. You know, he had not given up a home run in almost 2 months. And he gave up 2 last night. The defense wasn't any good. The bats obviously were terrible. Not one extra base hit. And it's crazy because you're watching Tampa, 2 home runs. I think they had 3 or 4 doubles last night. Boston walks it off last night against Baltimore, or more or less. They did so in the 8th. And Chapman goes out there and closes it in the 9th. And, you're watching the vibes down at Fenway, and the place is packed. And Yankees are finding a way to win games. And the Jays are just a lost cause right now. And
it's over.
Yes, I believe you're right. I mean, unfortunately,
you could call it today. It's July 21st, but you could call it today. You could say it's
They're
over.
so far out of it now, and the teams they're chasing are red hot. And very likely you're going to have to get to 86, 87, 88 wins, basically the same every single year, right? Like you kind of know the way it goes. We've had the 3 wildcard teams for a while now. You know what the benchmark is. So forget what all the other teams are doing. Just look at the Blue Jays. They have to win, they got to play like 640 baseball, which even if they were healthy and playing well, that's asking a lot. And I saw a tweet today. Someone brought up Jeff Passan's tweet from last year. I think it was July 25th. He tweeted out last year that the first place overall team in Major League Baseball was the Toronto Blue Jays. And I think I had a recollection of them getting hot in August and obviously keeping it going in September in the push. Remember the Yankees, the 2 of them were jockeying for position. Who was going to win the division? I think they both ended up with 94 wins, and the Jays had the tiebreaker. But they were red hot from the middle of May all the way through the rest of the season. And by this time last year, they were on such a heater that they were taking over the American League. They were taking over Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And now it's unfortunately completely collapsed. And, you hear John Schneider after the game, and I understand why he's keeping his composure. And he knows more than we do about what's going on behind the scenes. And he said, I don't have an issue with effort. I don't have an issue with preparation. So I can't get that mad. And I get it. But, God, that's difficult to listen to as well, isn't it? Because it almost sounds defeated. They look defeated. There's no spark. No one's losing their mind. Like Vladdy kind of gave it to his helmet, I think, after the 3rd or 4th at-bat last night.
Buddy, was there not a little bit of, some booze for Vladdy last night? Could you hear that coming through the screen? And I was, I'm kind of turning up the volume to hear it, and I'm like, that's an interesting one from Vladdy, because clearly there was so much goodwill built in from Vladdy and what he did last year and what the team did. But I don't know, man. Eventually it gets to the point where, he is – so far underachieved based on the bar that he has set, and everyone's starting to feel it. The fan base is starting to feel it.
Yeah,
and a lot of that goodwill is wearing off.
It's impossible not to. I was on with Jay last night, and he asked me that question. Can you remember a player, like a superstar player, who has had a season like this? And I honestly cannot. If I'm using Toronto as an example, I'm sure people could write in give me examples of other players in other cities, maybe in other leagues. Listen, Cal Raleigh's probably doing it right now. I should point that out. Cal Raleigh, his season, as bad as Vladdy's been, it's even worse for him in Seattle.
But we could have seen that coming, could we not? Like, that was a bit of a flash in the pan. He didn't do that on a consistent basis.
No, I mean, 60 home runs, it was absurd the way he played last year.
Yes.
But this year, it is as extreme the other way as Vladdy's gone. But I can't recall another example because it's not age-related. He's 27. Like George Springer, I kind of get it. It's not contract related because the contract's done. It's over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you look at a guy like Varsho right now. I'm sure he can't sleep at night. He's got to be sitting there calling his agent saying, how much am I losing? Like, what kind of market is waiting for me? So it's not age related. Vladdy's 27. It's not that he's in a contract year and it's starting to bother him because he's been paid and he's locked up for the next 13 and a half years. And it's not injury related. Because, you know, he's missed a few games here or there. I think as much as it was nicks and bruises, it was also the old phantom, you got to take a weekend off, and we're not just going to say we're sitting you. So we're going to say it's your back or you got something aching you. So none of the general explanations that have been there for fall-offs are applicable to Vladdy. And it's so extreme that I honestly cannot think of another comparison. I can't think of one that is this crazy in terms of what he was at the last game of last season compared to where he is 100 games into this season.
It's really hard to figure out, and now the big question if you're the Blue Jays is clearly like it's not going to turn around quick. You can't say that the product that's on the field right now is all of a sudden, like you talked about, going to start playing 640 baseball. So what are the moves that you make now that are going to help you be competitive next season? Like, you have to start looking that far in advance because, like, it's 5.5 games, but there's way too many teams, and there's teams that are playing well, and there's teams that just have a different vibe about them. So what do you – like, you can't just start saying we're going to get rid of everyone because then what are you left with next year? So I don't know, man. It's not a young team per se. There's some young players, but there's a lot of aging guys. And you bring up Dalton Varsho, and that's an interesting one because not only can't hit, like his fielding and his defensive game is not nearly as good as it was or what he was supposed to be. So that's been it's been a mess all the way around.
It's a trickle down effect. You know, they're dead last in the league, I believe, in terms of producing runs. It's everybody. You know, like they had a bunch of singles last night, Springer, and, you know, Ernie Clement's going to do what he's doing. And, you know, guys are going to show up and every once in a while put together a performance. But for the most part, everybody is underperforming. And, you know, the manager is going to take heat for that. The hitting coach is going to take heat for that. But ultimately, these are professionals that are veterans, to your point, been in the league a long time that just cannot get anything going. So I don't really care about what other teams are doing. I don't really care about, you know, what the win total needs to be. This is simply just watch them play, and there's no reason to believe they're going to come alive. If anything, I think there's reason to believe it's going to get worse, which is scary because they're playing their worst baseball right now. You know, as bad as the season has been, they were 36-36, you know, a couple months ago. They're 8 games under 500 in the last, 30 games. You know,
they can't get runs, man. What are they, 6 runs since the All-Star break or something like that?
Defensively, they're bad. They had 3 more errors again last night. Their starting rotation, you know, outside of Cease, Savage to an extent, they just don't give them enough innings, so the bullpen is just completely taxed. It's not a formula for success. So, yeah, ultimately, it's incredibly disappointing. You know, the Vladdy conversation will continue. I am curious about that, what the reaction is to him throughout the rest of the year. You know, what happens with Gausman? He's on the mound tonight. Could this be his last home start as a Blue Jay? Is there a market for him?
Gausman's got his own issues. Never mind.
Totally.
That guy can't get deep into a game. He can't strike people. He's just – it is not the Kevin Gausman that was so reliable for such a long time. And maybe this was bound to happen. Maybe it's age. But he's been so consistent for a long time. His ERA hasn't been this bad since when he, basically first started. Maybe a blip here or there. But, that's been – when I kind of look at it and say, who are the guys that are the most consistent that you can just count on? And Kevin Gausman is one of those guys. And if he can't do it either, you're there's something wrong with the whole thing. And it's crazy to say that because a lot of guys that were playing in Game 7 of a World Series.
Well, and again, it would possibly be, more comforting if the Dodgers were on pace for 75 wins, but they're not. And I know the Dodgers are a different beast, but look at them. They're 12 games up on the National League West or whatever it is. Like they just keep chugging. And that was the hope that after last year, the Jays, who had a very good offseason, we talked about it yesterday. Rogers has been good. Cease could win a Cy Young. Okamoto's been really good. Like they kind of did what they were supposed to do in the offseason. I think they made the right choice. Bo Bichette has struggled this year. Maybe he would have been different if he stayed in Toronto. Possibly.
Maybe. Yeah,
but
maybe.
I think they kind of made the right call on certain guys. And things have just blown up in terms of the incumbents. And
sounds crazy to say, but it'd be nice if Santander could play a game. It'd be nice to know what that guy's all about.
Yeah.
Isn't that a whole crazy other development? That's a whole sidebar.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And that's, again, a part of the problem. You look into the future. How could you possibly believe he shows up in the spring next year and just is ready to play? He's had 2 lost seasons. 2 years where he's gone. So, yeah, I don't know what the vibe around that park is going to be like, because they're still selling out. Tickets have been accounted for. There's, a lot of people based on that run last year that made plans. It's not all just people living around the park that walk up and say, I want tickets. It's people from Thunder Bay. It's people from Winnipeg. It's people from Quebec and New Brunswick that are flying in and saying, I got to see this team. Like, they were so captivating last year. That's what stinks. Like, if you have a trip planned for middle of August that you booked and you have paid for, and you're coming to see, who are you watching? Like, who is still going to be here in a month? Where is this team going to be in terms of wins and losses? Do you think they're going to score a run when you show up? These are all legitimate questions now that no one saw coming.
It's a tough watch, and you bring up the Dodgers, right? And I get it. Blue Jays, Dodgers, little bit of a difference. But the Blue Jays are not operating like the Tampa Bay Rays as far as payroll goes. Like, these guys are one of the top payrolls in Major League Baseball. Like, they're with that kind of money being spent, there is a certain expectation that the team needs to uphold. Let's call it for what it is.
Yeah, of course. And that's why, again, it's not worth anything, but you kind of want to see someone explode at some point, and it hasn't really happened. And to our knowledge, there's no issues with the clubhouse. Remember, that was the big thing last year. They were the vibes team. Everyone loved each other. Everyone got along. All the families couldn't wait to get back to the park to hang out. The clubhouse was like, the greatest place to be in the world for all of these players. And I don't get the impression that that's necessarily stopped. But if you don't win, you can't have the same ingredients. It's not going to have the same feeling.
No.
So, I guess what I'm getting to is, in a weird way, it would be almost more comforting if you're like, man, there's something going on in that clubhouse. I don't think there is. It's just guys can't hit. Guys can't perform.
It's crazy.
Guys can't
to
play.
Try and explain it. It's a season gone bad.
Yeah.
And can you turn it around quick next year? And I think that's got to be the big dialogue when they're heading into the trade deadline as far as what their decisions are going to be. Like, how much do we really trim off of this thing, full well knowing that if this is a season that's gone bad, we're somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
We're somewhere between the peak of what we were last year and the depths of what we are this year, and how do we make sure we're in a good situation to kind of strike that balance next year?
Yeah, get a jump on the offseason at the trade deadline. That seems to make a lot of sense. And if there are players you're not going to bring back, I don't know what kind of market they have. I don't know what kind of market Gausman has, Bieber has, Varsho, Springer. That would be a difficult one. Like, the idea of Springer and Gausman in particular, they've been here for 5 years. They've been kind of leaders and spokesmen of the organization. They were such a big part of what happened last year, where Gausman was their most consistent arm and Springer was their best player. And the idea of getting to the trade deadline, a year later, less than a year later, and you're thinking, man, maybe you got to ship them out and you may not get that much in return. Very, very difficult to chew on, but that's the reality that they're currently dealing with right now.
Yeah, and Varsho, I know that the contract is expiring, right? So you could probably look at a team and say, okay, it's gone bad for a lot of people here in Toronto this year. Hard to explain it, but what you're going to get in Varsho is you're going to get dependability, reliability, and a good defensive acumen. We haven't really seen it this year, but it's there. Like Varsho at times has struggled hitting in Toronto. Like offense has kind of eluded him at certain segments of his time here, but one thing that's been consistent is the arm and the defensive play. It's not there this year, but I think you can sell that to a team.
Yeah, his arm is really being challenged. It's happened all year, but you're right. I mean, he's a guy who can hit for power. Last year, he hit for a ton of power when he was healthy, a ton of power. So, I think I'm not saying there's no market, but what are you getting in return? Is it even worth it making the trade? I think that's what they're going to ask down at one Blue Jays way is like, what are we getting? The 28th ranked prospect from a team, and what else? A veteran guy that they're trying to dump. I don't know. Honestly, I think that's a reality. Like, you're not trading Dylan Cease. I don't think you're trading Louis Varland or Tyler Rogers. I don't think. So, would those guys have a market? Of course. You get a boatload for Louis Varland. You get a ton for Rogers right now. But I don't think you're trading them because you want this to be a one-off and you want to recoup things and, settle in for next year. All right, Luke Wilson coming up this hour. We have Kyle Davidson coming up, the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks, who obviously made a big splash past couple of days, signing Connor Bedard to that 5-year, $15 million deal. And, I look at that. Bedard, that shoulder, I think he pounced on that contract, personally. I think it's a really good deal for him. I know what happened with Karlsson. I get it. That was Danny Briere screwing everything up for everyone else in the league. Like, that wasn't Pat Verbeek and the Ducks. That wasn't a contract that was understandable based on his play. And I'm talking about Karlsson. I look at Bedard, 15 and a 5-year deal where he walks right into free agency. I think that's an incredible contract for him.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the player, I'm ecstatic with this. I'm making more than Draisaitl, Matthews, McDavid, and I'm coming back up in 5 years. Like, it's an unbelievably player-friendly deal. I think Bedard should be ecstatic with that contract.
Well, and if you're Chicago, I mean, what else are you going to do?
Well, he's your guy. Yeah,
you're gonna lowball Connor Bedard. You want to play that game because he's your whole team. You watched that team last year when Bedard was healthy. Like, they were not the second worst team or third worst team in the NHL. They were pushing up towards a playoff spot, like trending in the direction that they want to go. Bedard gets hurt. And that's it. Like, it's over. So that's, I think it's a fair deal given the impact that Bedard has on that team right now and how little help he has around him. And listen, you can't compare an offer sheet deal to an RFA deal. It's not the reality. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Bedard is a $15 million player, especially on the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Especially
well,
on
and from
team.
A marketing standpoint too, right? Like, they put all their eggs into that basket. And he's a really good player. Prior to the shoulder injury, he was a rock star last year. Like, the first 30 games, he was unreal.
In the Hart conversation.
Yes, and pushing for a Canadian spot. I don't know if he would have gotten there if he was healthy. Once he got hurt, it was an easy exit for them. I'm not sure they were going to find a role for him. But he was on pace for a massive, massive season. The shoulder, the surgery, not being ready on time, missing camp, that concerns me. But he's still young. And it's a 5-year deal, and I don't think they're going to be competitive next year. They got to take a big step. They might kick tires on a playoff spot, but they're not like in a cup window next year in Chicago. But it's a really good deal for the player. And to your point, if you're Chicago, that's your guy. He's your money guy, and you're going to make it work.
That's exactly it. Now they got to find a way to kind of add a little more around him. And I know we've been talking about it for a while, but like, if Chicago finishes 31st in the NHL again, it's not like it's an accident.
Can't do it.
They've gone backwards in their rebuild. They have to start to take steps forward. And like, you can see they clearly see that. They went out and they traded for Bowen Byram and they signed him to, all that money. So they recognize they just got to execute on
traded, like, nobody trades top 5 picks in this league ever. Like, it just doesn't happen. And they did it for a guy that's a really good player. He's not, in my opinion, but I don't think Byram, I could be wrong. We'll see. This would be a big opportunity for him, right? And he started his career behind Cale Makar. He's obviously behind Dahlin in Buffalo. Now he's going to be the man. And he'll be, I think, power play 1. He's going to play a ton of minutes. It's a big opportunity for him. And they're paying him with the expectation that he'll be a top 10 defenseman in the league. I'll believe it when I see it. but he's a really good player, and they paid a premium to get him. And they got a couple of other really good young defensemen there. And if they keep growing, we'll see what Chicago can do. So Kyle Davidson, their GM, coming up. Trevor Zegras got himself a deal last week as well. He'll join us in about 25 minutes. CFL's off and running, man. These rule changes have been great. We saw multiple examples of that over the weekend. The Rouge couldn't save the Argos, right? We saw the new overtime rules, which were great. We got some, I wouldn't say controversy, but big injury news out in BC, of course, with the reigning MOP. And NFL camp's opening up real soon as well. So our boy Luke Wilson coming up to chat about being in the booth this year, what he's seeing in the CFL, what we can expect out of the NFL. There's a couple of lists coming out courtesy of ESPN in terms of executives around the league ranking certain guys, including the number one quarterback in the league. We'll see if Luke agrees with that ranking. So that more coming up. Frankie's in here. I'm Brian Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
The Amazing Race Canada, all new, tonight at 9, 8 Central on CTV.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you more ways to play your game your way. Game snuck into the over last night. I bet the under. Jays just couldn't pull it off. Just couldn't do it. I knew they wouldn't hit. Like, that was a lock. I just didn't bank on Cease getting hit the way he got hit last night. And Brendan Little made another appearance.
Yeah,
it's nice to see him back with the team. Great to see Little coming back.
Buddy, that was such a tough watch, and I don't know if you saw Korolnik's tweet about that game last night. He said the Jays was such a tough watch that he flipped over to The Hawk on Netflix, the Will Ferrell golf show. Have you seen this thing?
No, have not even heard of that.
It's actually not that bad. Like, I didn't think that was necessary to throw that show under the bus like that, but that's what's going to happen now with this Jays team, man. It's going to be like you flip in for a couple innings.
Yeah.
You see what's going on. You're like, ooh, okay. I'll watch something else.
Troubling.
Watch some CFL with Luke.
Well, that's it, man. Like Luke and Dusty doing their thing, man. Those two are a dynamic duo in the booth. And
Buddy, Dusty's such a unit. Have you ever seen this
guy? Oh,
yeah.
I see him. I saw him at the Grey Cup. Well, and I was in the booth with them when we were there in September. Right, we were down at BMO Field for that Argos game. And I was up there with him and Glenn. It was awesome. Dusty's the man. And we saw him in Winnipeg. He was putting in work, man. He was a little bit of lobby bar time, which is acceptable, right? But always, you know what the veteran move that he pulled off, and Glenn Suter for that matter, they had the laptops up while they're at the lobby bar, right? And this is during the week. It's not as if it was like Grey Cup Sunday we're talking about here. Yeah. But they were just, a couple of pints, couple of chats, but the laptop up, so just in case I got to take some notes, right? It is a work trip, which I like. I appreciate that.
That's, buddy, I have seen that move, and I've probably done that move where you bring the laptop down there, and sometimes it doesn't move from, like, your Gmail tab. Like, your Gmail is just there, and you're like, I could look up something, or I could not. I don't know, but I have the option.
It's there. It's available to you, right? When in need, it's available to you. So Luke coming up here in a moment, and Argos are 2-4. They've had a tough run because they're not playing at home. Right? And it's still going to be a while until they do get home. So the World Cup put them in a very, very difficult position. But they have the luxury of the fact that Ottawa is the worst team in the league, and they literally never win.
Dude, I could not believe
they had it the other night.
They were beating the Bombers. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, they were beating the Bombers. They had it. But I got to say, that new overtime, it's a college play, right? It's a red zone play. Can you score? Both teams did. Then they flip, and the Bombers went first. They ended up scoring. The Red Blacks could not find a way to score to keep the game going. I really like the new overtime rule. And the Rouge, the Argos, they should be 3-3. Got to make a kick. That's a routine field goal. They couldn't find a way to make it work. And the Rouge couldn't save them because it doesn't exist anymore in that format. So I like where this league is going. A lot of excitement over the weekend. The Elks are off to a great start. Not great in BC, obviously. Nathan Rourke banged up, not good. But to chat about that, among other things, including NFL camps opening up right around the corner, if not, I believe, in the next few days. Here's a man that we know well. There he is, Luke Wilson. Look at us. Look at us talking CFL, NFL. What a beautiful thing. How are we doing?
I'm living large, boys. Living large. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing very well. We're doing very well. And we were singing your praises, man. You and Dusty are a dynamic duo. You liking the booth or what?
I'm really enjoying it, and I got to tip my cap to Dustin because he makes it really easy. I just get to kind of come in, do a little X and O stuff, but it's been a lot of fun. Like, run into it. Hayes, I've never done this before, so you never know like what it's going to be like. But I have thoroughly enjoyed being the color commentator for games. It's, again, for me personally, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. What's the prep difference between, like what you were doing last year where you're kind of on the sidelines, you got your video that you would do, and now, kind of having to do a lot of prep before the game for color commentary?
Yeah, honestly, Frankie, and I know you know this, it's night and day. Like last year I'd headed in there, and yeah, I obviously knew what was going on, but it was very reactionary. You know, I'm watching and I had a kind of a monitor on the sideline and I'm like, okay, what are teams trying to do where this is like we're studying rosters. I get a lot out of the production meetings. So we have one because I'm on Fridays, we have them on Wednesdays. And it's like, I'll just flat out ask the coaches, like, you know, I got the film here, the coaches' version, so I'll buzz all that, be like, hey, is this what you're trying to get done? So I generally can kind of speak their lingo, Frankie, which I think helps. But, you know, there's a few Canadian terms that I got to brush up on where I'm like, okay, that's definitely a CFL, you know, terminology.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more prep, but it really keeps me like more in tune with the games. Like, and you start to, for me, it's a bit weird, but I start to develop like guys that I really, really like. And I got to keep it like Scott Milanovich is like play calling genius to me in Hamilton. Like I like don't have a relationship with the guy outside of calling his games, but after talking to him a little bit and then like watching the film, I'm like, this guy's cooking every week. Like cooking every week, dude. So it's kind of fun to see like that side of it and putting some things together, I guess.
Well, you look at the quarterback play, you know, in the East. Davis Alexander's picked up where he's left off. Chad Kelly back healthy, throwing a lot of interceptions though. Like, what are you seeing out of Chad? Like, I think, what is he throwing 9 picks already this year? He's slinging it though. But where are you at with the Argos right now? Tough with them being on the road all season too, right?
Yeah, I'm with that, and it is tough, sure. But like that being said, if you're an Argos fan, your record is like you should have beat Montreal week 1. I called that game. Okay. And then it's like to keep going there, you have no business losing the last game you just played to Hamilton. And Liram, their kicker, has been unbelievable for them for a lot of years, but like he's got to make those kicks. So like their record to me is not indicative of what, like the only game where they really got absolutely smoked was against Calgary. Like I think if you ask the Argos too, they probably want the Bombers loss back. So yeah, it's a bit weird. Mike Miller to me is a very, very solid coach. I like what they're trying to do offensively. I think Chad just needs to pick his spots. Like he's got a tremendous arm. He can absolutely throw the heck out of the football. But sometimes I think he just goes out here and says like, hey, well, I call it like cowboying a bit, you know, like he goes out here and he's like, I'm going to cowboy us to a win. And when it works, it's sick. When it works, it's like all highlight reel stuff. Look at the arm strength. But when it doesn't work, it's interceptions, which I think they've gotten bit by a little bit. But the East is weak. Like, I know they don't want people saying that, but especially now that Bo Levi Mitchell's gone down, the East is extremely weak outside of Montreal. And like, Milanovich is going to find ways to win, but he's got tough roads ahead with the quarterback situation now. So the East is wide open for that 2 seed still with the amount of games they play.
Can the Red Blacks win a game? Like, if they can't close out that last game, can they win a game? What are we doing here?
They had that, man. That was a choke job.
Come on. And your guy was playing QB, too. You like that guy.
Yeah, I like it. This is what I find. In like, Frankie, I know you and me have talked about this. Hayes, I don't know how well versed you are in the online world of CFL potatoes. Okay, but
no, I'm not. Although I have I've been a target of theirs, I'm sure at times. I just don't pay attention very much.
Yeah, it's like I find that it's a small group of CFL fans that have literally no clue about football. They just want to make fun of people. They just want to gripe. They just want to complain. They don't know what's going on. I'm not even sure they watch the games. So then they just go out here and they're like, oh, Jake Mayer can't get it done, or this guy can't get it done. And you're like, dude, what are you watching right now? Like, Jake Mayer is the least amount of problems that Ottawa's offense has right now. Like, can somebody turn on Ottawa's film and tell me that offensive line has played well this year? At any point. At any point, Frankie. I don't think you can. Not if you're really judging the film. Okay, so it's like Jake Mayer comes in, and I feel for some of these players, and obviously I was an ex-guy, where it's like the league's rules are set up to literally jam players in this sense. And I know the PA fights for this, but they have no offseason, and they have a very, very short training camp. Okay, and Jake was the starting quarterback for 2 weeks of training camp because it started with Drew Brown. So it's like, hey, you got a new coach, new offense. You're not the starter, no offseason. Like, these are things that really matter and the professional level at that position. So it's starting to come around. You see it starting to click, and you got a lot of potatoes calling for this guy's head. So I was pretty happy with how he played. I think if you're a Red Blacks fan, I do think they're going to find ways to win. And Dinwiddie will get them boys, right? Like, again, the East is weak, man. The West is where it's at.
Well, and if that's the case, and you're a BC Lions fan, similar issue with the World Cup being in town, but now you're 1-4, and Nathan Rourke's got this shoulder injury. Is this it? Like, do you think is there enough time, and can Rourke get back and get healthy? He wasn't playing great to begin with based on his standards, to get the Lions back in the hunt.
Yeah, Hayes, I'm not a big believer in the BC Lions. Personally, even coming into the season, there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, they're Grey Cup favorites." I never saw it that way. I do think Rourke is obviously won MOP last year. He can win you a lot of ball games, and you've heard me talk about this in the NFL a lot, where it's like, to me, there's that sliding scale of like how many mistakes you can make based on roster depth and talent everywhere. And I look at the West, and first off, I know they're not the power ranking one right now, but I don't know how Saskatchewan is not ever on the front of everybody's board, because they won the Grey Cup. They're extremely well coached on both sides of the ball. Edmonton is the grittiest team in the league. And Winnipeg is winning games with a quarterback who's been there for 2.5 weeks. Now, again, they got lucky against the Red Blacks, in my opinion. But I do think when Zach Collaros gets healthy, and that combo with Tommy Condell, there's your 1, 2, 3 in the West. So to answer your question, I don't see much hope for BC, but I could be wrong here. The CFL is a funky league that way, Hayes. All of a sudden it's a 20-point game, and there's a 3-minute, and the rules kind of try and help crazy things happen in that league. So you never know. Yeah,
but a lot of games left
on the BC Lions.
Yep, a lot of time left for sure, but Rourke being banged up is not going to help. With Luke Wilson. So in terms of quarterback rankings, I saw ESPN revealed this week bunch of rankings where they were asking executives throughout the league, scouts throughout the league, to rank different positions. And at the quarterback position, again, it's not a 100% consensus, but it's collectively voted on. They had Josh Allen at number 1. So they got Allen at number 1. They got Mahomes at number 2. Are you a believer in that ranking? Would you have it the same way? If not, how might you change it?
I'm not trying to get bogged down minutia here, Hayes, but my question is, are you asking me for the future or to win this year?
I'm going to say this year. This season, who do you think is the best quarterback going into this year?
Yes. Assuming everyone is healthy, okay, assuming everyone stays healthy, we're going to make that caveat. If you're asking me, hey, who do you want and you guarantee his health, I am going with Matthew Stafford.
Wow.
Every day of the week.
Okay.
I'm going with Matthew Stafford. Next up, I would probably go Josh Allen. But it's very close with Patrick Mahomes. For me right now, those guys are, the best of the best. I just think Stafford, as far as a pure thrower of the football and a guy, he's got more experience. Obviously, he's coming off an MVP season. Like, he doesn't have the mobility those other two guys have. But in that league, it's not the CFL. Mobility is not as important. I still think you got to take the reigning NFL MVP in that situation.
But is it hard, like when you're talking NFL and you're talking guys that have sort of become brands, like Mahomes is a brand, Josh Allen is a brand, and you're talking about Matthew Stafford, you're talking about how this guy balls out. Like, is it hard for him to get into that conversation with the notoriety that the other two guys have?
It is, and that's, I think, the part of the issue with the NFL, Frankie, and like it happens at every position. Quarterback gets multiplied. When I was playing, it'd be like, oh, this is the best, 3-tech or defensive tackle in the league. And then all of a sudden you'd like flip the film on and it'd be like a random defensive tackle that's not in a big market. And you're like, oh my God. Like, this guy is one of the best football players in the league. And we all know he's good and he's a Pro Bowler, but he's not on a winning team, or he's not, there's a variety of things. He's not the most marketable guy. So I do think the NFL sometimes gets into like, hey, if this guy's marketable and he's good, he gets, and he's in a good situation, his, you know, I guess perception is multiplied into not being better, but just being considered better than other players. It's like Stafford is a prime example of that for me, where it's like he's buried in Detroit. I mean, boys, you guys know, you've heard me talk about Matt Patricia. I was there. Okay. I was there when, for one of the years he's in there with the Matt Patricia era. And like, that's a wasted year for Matthew. The guy was disgustingly good at football, one of the best quarterbacks in the league that year. But we're 6-10 and we're running it like we're going to a war. That's what our head coach is doing. Okay. It's like there goes a year of the guy's career, perception wise.
Yep.
You know,
and now look at him.
I'll say this. Correct. And then he gets traded. He wins a Super Bowl. He's been knocking on the door really almost every year. And I think with the additions of Trent McDuffie and Myles Garrett and potentially Aaron Donald,
yes,
okay, they're going to be everyone's
best team in the league.
Power ranking player to player based on situations, you know? Then it just is the nature of the beast.
100%. All right, buddy. Well, enjoy the ride. Keep going, man. We'll see you on here soon. And September right around the corner. Can't wait.
Boys, I just want to say it's great seeing you two. We're chopping it up on some CFL ball right now. I'm fired up. Where's Al's brother at? Get this guy in here.
He's at his Stag and Dough. He's selling tickets for the Stag and Dough, man. He's a busy guy, Al's brother. He's probably on a cruise right now. All right, Luke. Great seeing you, buddy. We'll do it again soon. There he is, Luke Wilson.
Cheers.
Our man in the booth. Our man in the booth on the CFL.
How many tickets did you buy for Al's brother Stag and Dough?
I have not bought it. I'm not going. But are you allowed? Like, is that something that's expected? You buy tickets,
yes,
I guess in support, even though you're not going to go. Okay, so I wasn't aware of that. I'm going to do that.
Buy multiple tickets.
Yeah, I'll do that tonight. One. So it's a charity thing, effectively. Okay, I'll do that. Like, why not just send out a link, like a GoFundMe link? Like, why? That's what I don't understand about it. If you're not going.
It's not a GoFundMe. You could win a prize. So
I see. Okay.
You're giving
I thought you had to be there for it.
No. You could still win the prize because your ticket will have a number on it, and Al's brother will tell you if you won the prize.
I'm going to text him right now and say, put me down for tickets. I wasn't aware of that. I generally filter through the stories pretty quickly. I love Al's brother, but if it's not cruisewear stuff, I'm not interested. All right. Trevor Zegras coming up. Confirm or deny around the corner. OverDrive continues up on YouTube Live. All right, Kyle Davidson, GM of the Blackhawks, coming up in 20 minutes. Confirm or deny coming up as well. The Blue Jays back in action tonight, and they have released the lineup. Nathan Lucas is leading off.
Ooh.
Ernie Clement, my boy. I love Ernie. He is a partner of mine. Lincoln Cup. We got robbed. The O-Dog, he actually played pretty well, but I didn't love the way everything played out there. I still think we have a chance to possibly redeem ourselves next year. I love Ernie. Ernie's hitting third tonight in the lineup. So Vladdy's moving up to second. You know, I guess, again, they're throwing stuff at the wall here.
That's it.
But Lucas into Guerrero, into Clement, into Springer, into Varsho, into Okamoto. Kirk getting the night off. Valenzuela obviously catching for Gosman tonight.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah,
what do you have to lose? You
well,
just got
another
to
ball
try
game,
different things.
but yeah,
Okay.
I mean, what else are you going to do? I'm not disputing that. I totally understand it. I just think it's it's like another snapshot of why we're in the position we're in right now.
Yes.
Nathan Lucas is leading off, and Ernie Clement's hitting third tonight. Not what we expected in April.
No.
Right?
No, and
Not
when the
what we were
team's going
expecting.
well, like it was last year, it was like you just knew George was going to lead off,
Yep.
and everyone was where they were, and it was pretty consistent, and it's been anything but consistent this year.
Yeah, it has. And, this Tampa team, they're awesome. Like, to their credit, this year they came into the year with the Jays favored to win the division. The Yankees were going to be right there. Baltimore splashed a lot of money last offseason. The expectation was that they'd get in the hunt. The Red Sox, you knew were going to be at least, hovering around 500 at this pace. They look like they're going to fly past that marker. And who's the team that finds a way this is from the start of the year. Tampa's been the best team in the division.
Yeah.
And, they've owned the Jays, and it happened again last night.
No bloated payroll either.
No,
They're
exactly.
kind of doing it the same way they always do it,
Yep.
typical Tampa fashion. And that's, they might not have the super high end year after year, but they're a pretty consistent model year after year as far as how they operate and how they run things.
No kidding, man. It's an incredibly impressive operation. It really is.
The thing is, though, it can only get you so much, right? Like, it really can only get you so much if you're not willing to spend a little bit more.
Yep, and that's the thing. That's what gets frustrating, I'm sure, for Rays fans, is like they find players, they pop, and they got to go somewhere else to get paid because Tampa's not going to do it. But right now, they're in the driver's seat in the American League East. Speaking of getting paid, we got a guy on the line who got paid last year. He had a great season in Philly, his first year in Philly. I remember his presser when he got there talking about how he just wants to have fun, and I can't imagine he had anything but a good time in Philly this year. Let's bring in Flyers center. Here's Trevor Zegras joining us on OverDrive. What's up, Trevor?
How you doing, guys?
We're doing well. How much fun did you have last year playing in Philly?
It's fantastic. Great group of guys. Great coaching staff. Made it a lot of fun to go to work every day. That's for sure.
What was it about Rick Tocchet and his message that resonated with you this season?
He's an easy guy to follow because he was such a good player himself, and he kind of came in, and at least in my eyes, with that respect factor, and you just do the things that he wanted, and we were winning games.
How much of that respect factor is the fights he has on YouTube? Have you seen him fight in his career?
When he rolls up the sleeve and hits the guy, we all got a good laugh out of that one.
Oh, yeah. Man, he was tough. That's a good Scarborough boy, Rick Tocchet, man. He could throw him. He could score. He could do everything. But, getting to Philly, it's a great sports town, obviously. And, it's been a build-up there. You're relatively new to the market. But, you talk about having fun. That first round against Pittsburgh, like, what was it like being in Philly, playing the cross-state rival, and eventually beating the Penguins?
Yeah, it was crazy. For the playoffs, I didn't really know what to expect, and for the first warm up in Pittsburgh, the whole building was packed with them waving the towels, and just such a great rivalry and great series. I mean, you grow up watching it, but to actually be in it was something that I never expected, so it was cool.
Was it nice to have a familiar face in Philly and your old U.S. National Team Development Program teammate in Cam York?
Well, yeah, I was lucky. I knew a couple of the guys before going there, and It's always cool when you play on an NHL team with like one. He's like one of my best buddies of all time. So definitely made it pretty easy.
Was he the overtime winner that threw a stick in the stands? Was that Cam York that did that? Who was it? I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember
that was
now.
Yorkie. Yeah,
What was your reaction to him doing that, man? That was crazy. A crazy reaction.
crazy. Usually guys like will just like lay one over the glass. He just went
Yeah, but
full tomahawk.
Caulfield played on the same team, and Caulfield did it after a game against San Jose at home the previous year. Do you remember that as well?
Really? He threw one. He threw a stick into the Bell
He threw
Center?
a stick, overtime winner. He dances Celebrini, and he throws a stick into the crowd.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
your old team is doing that, Trevor.
I know, and I think Jack Hughes was the first one to do it. So we all kind of copied him after that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was the gold medal winner, wasn't it? He just
Yeah.
started flinging his stick around. That was actually a pretty good one. That was a good one. With Trevor Zegras of the Philadelphia Flyers, you mentioned, Frankie mentioned your former teammate at the U.S. Development Program. What about your former teammate in Anaheim? Were you talking to Danny Briere about sending that offer sheet out to Leo Carlsson or what?
Oh man, yeah, that was crazy. We had no idea, but I mean, having played with Leo, I understand why maybe they wanted to do that. Hell of a player, and it was cool. We almost got him.
Almost got him, but matched in the end. But you
Yeah.
guys have had an active offseason. It was really cool to see you guys play last year, and we're looking forward to seeing how you can grow on it next year. So congrats on the new deal. Good luck year 2 in Philly. Thanks for doing this. Have a great summer.
Awesome, thank you guys, appreciate it.
You got it. There's Trevor Zegras checking in. I didn't realize that Caulfield had done that celebration.
I'm like 95% sure he did it. Overtime winner at the Bell Center. He just chucked it into the stands.
Yeah, the Hughes one, that one was a big one. I try to forget that one, but
Yeah, no kidding.
that one hurt. Right, that one hurt. But Cam York, OT winner, and flings his stick into the stands, and that was a tomahawk chuck. Like that was serious action he had on that. But I don't think the crowd was disappointed. Right, it was the OT winner. It was a series winner against Pitt. You can't pay for better advertisement than that if you're Cam York or any member of the Philadelphia Flyers. So thanks to Trevor Zegras. All right, we've got Kyle Davidson coming up, confirm or deny coming up. Jay's back in action tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
The summer of soccer continues on TSN.
Sensational!
Watch La Liga, MLS, and so much more. TSN, Canada's sports leader. Subscribe now.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel. Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado. We're up on YouTube Live, streaming later this evening up on Crave. And we got Confirm or Deny coming up later in the hour. Jay's back in action tonight. The federal government making a big investment in sport. I'm sure you saw that this morning, Frankie. $1 billion being pumped into the system. I like hearing that.
Saw that.
Like
Yes.
seeing that. And I think that, this World Cup fever, let's keep that going. Let's keep the national team going. On the men's and the women's side,
man.
let's keep rocking.
Yeah, you gotta strike while the iron's hot, man.
100%.
Build the soccer fields, and not just soccer. Like build nice baseball diamonds, football fields. Like
Yes.
we have a lot of untapped potential when it comes to sports in this country that we have to try and extract.
I like that. I like that viewpoint, and I agree with it. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the hour, including Tom Brady and what he's up to recently. That's coming up in Confirm or Deny. But we had Trevor Zegras on last hour, and Trevor just went through a contract negotiation himself. And obviously we were talking about Connor Bedard, Leo Carlson. The league has kind of been turned upside down. It's pretty wild what's going on, especially with these younger players. And one of the teams that has been, I'd argue, most active this offseason and most compelling in terms of kind of what they're doing and what their plans are moving forward would be the Chicago Blackhawks. And the guy in charge down there, the guy that's running the whole operation, joins us now. Here's the GM of the Blackhawks, Kyle Davidson, back on OverDrive. How you doing, Kyle?
Hey, guys. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Is it a relief, like the Bedard deal, getting that over with? I'm sure you always knew it was going to happen, but now that it's done, now that you know the number, the term, how much relief comes with that, and how much does it allow you to kind of plan for the next 5 years?
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting, and whenever you can lock in a cornerstone piece like Connor, it's certainly a good day for the organization, and so we're excited to make that happen. And cross the finish line the other day, and yeah, kind of get going on planning out the next couple of years, of which we're very, very excited about.
Yeah, I know you can't divulge too many details about a contract negotiation, but how's the dynamic between you guys and Bedard as far as how that deal comes to be? Were you pushing for more years on that deal, or were you happy with where it settled at?
Yeah, I think you're always advocating for your position as the player advocates for theirs. But it was a really healthy discussion, I would say. I think we both achieved what we wanted out of it. I think we're both very, very happy with where it settled in, and in the end, it's about getting the player signed, making sure that they're receiving the right value. You want to make sure that the value they're receiving is commensurate with that they're providing, and we feel we reached that, and so that's a good merger when you can kind of make everyone happy and achieve things for both sides in the negotiation.
How much, if at all, did the Leo Carlson contract affect negotiations?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it impacted them, to a great degree, but it's certainly I would say, without a doubt, the landscape changed under our feet, mid-negotiation. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't know if that will persist moving forward within the marketplace, but it was certainly a somewhat of a land shift there, and something that we certainly had to consider and be mindful of in the discussions. But I think in the end, we kind of stuck to our path and kind of stayed within our own negotiation and found a good point of agreement, within our own ecosystem that we had established in negotiations.
Well, you're in the exclusive club. There's 32 guys who are GMs of the 32 teams. And historically, there's been a perception from the outside of kind of an old boys club. There's an agreement, don't go after us. We won't go after you. Obviously, you weren't directly involved in Philly and Anaheim and Leo Carlsson in the offer sheet, but you're indirectly involved in all of it because, again, there's only 32 teams, 32 GMs. How do you react to a possible new era where maybe offer sheets are on the table and we could be looking at a very different landscape in terms of free agency in the league?
Well, I think it's absolutely something to be mindful of. I also don't believe it's not something that just came about this summer, right? It's certainly a notable occurrence with Leo Carlsson, but we've seen it, in the past and in the recent past with St. Louis and Philip Broberg and the Holloway contracts, and so it's not something that's completely new, but it certainly puts you on notice and puts everyone on notice in the marketplace to be mindful, not just with, pending UFAs, but you're pending RFAs. And so it's perhaps it compels teams to, react and get deals done sooner than they may have done in the past. But again, it's not entirely new, but I certainly believe it was, a shot across the bow to many around the league.
It feels like if you're going to go after a team's marquee player, like if someone wanted to offer Sheep Bedard, you would have been like, it's an easy match. I can't imagine there was a number out there that you wouldn't match that at. But, if you look at the way the Edmonton ones transpired, it's like, hey, they kind of spent money on UFAs, and now the RFAs, it feels like, have a lot more power in the NHL than they've had for quite some time. Do you feel that as a general manager? Do you feel like RFAs are in a different position now than maybe they were back in that flat cap world we were living in?
I don't know if that's necessarily how I look at it. I think I just almost take the position on my end. What can I do to make sure that I'm putting our organization in the best position possible? And that comes through, diligent cap planning and making sure that we're playing out all the different scenarios and ensuring that, every scenario is accounted for to the degree we can prepare for it. But, it's certainly something that teams will have to reckon with moving forward. I don't think there's any doubting that. And so it puts a little extra emphasis on mindful, budgeting of your cap resources moving forward, especially when you have a lot of young players coming up for contracts.
With Kyle Davidson, GM of the Blackhawks, Connor Bedard, obviously we knew about him when he was a young guy. He was brilliant in junior, unbelievable at the World Juniors. And he was so good to start last year. And then that shoulder injury popped up. And he's re-aggravated that. He's had surgery. What makes you believe the surgery is going to solve the issue and he's going to be at 100% when he returns and, the rest will be history for Connor Bedard?
Well, slight, clarification is it wasn't a re-aggravation. It was his other shoulder that he hurt. And so, the one that was injured last year was rehabbed and to the point where he, and we feel comfortable that it's in a very good spot. This injury necessitated surgery, and we anticipate nothing but a full recovery. And like you said, he was off to such a great start. It was such a disappointing occurrence for not only him, and he was playing very well and certainly making a push to make that Olympic team. When the date of his injury, he was actually tied for third in NHL points. Him and Celebrini were tied behind McDavid and McKinnon. So it's pretty elite company. And so he was off to quite the start before his injury in December last year. So again, it's not something that we're at all concerned with moving forward. These things happen, and we're excited for him to get back to full strength and kind of pick up where he left off after a great third season in the NHL.
How important was it for you to go out and make a trade and bring in Bowen Byram, and what are the expectations for him coming into your team?
Yeah, Bo's a player we've loved for a long time here with the Blackhawks, and being able to bring someone of his capabilities and skill set in, I think it's going to elevate our entire group. It's going to be, he's just you meet him, and he's got this personality that you feel can elevate your room and elevate your whole team. And I know the players are really excited about it from a management and coaching standpoint. We're very excited about it, and we feel that he's going to have the runway, and he's got the skill set to establish himself as a legitimate top pairing defenseman in our league, which can only serve to help and to push us forward next year.
Well, and you trade a top 5 pick to do it, something that doesn't happen often in the NHL. We were singing your praises like it's a courageous move. Obviously, you love the player. You paid the player. He comes in and he's going to perform for you. But how difficult was it to kind of wrestle with that idea that you were giving up a top 5 pick to get him?
We certainly have to. You have to give something to get something, and we believe that Bo, provides a package that's of significant, not only interest but value to us. And so, that's what comes with the territory when you acquire, great talent in this league, is you have to give up significant assets. And we were comfortable doing that, knowing that we were going to get a player that not only had something to prove, but we feel is going to, give himself and ourselves every opportunity to prove that he is the player that we and he believe he is. And so we were, it was something that we were willing to do, and something that, the opportunity to acquire a player like Bo doesn't come around very often, especially, in the age bracket that fits perfectly with our timeline. And, that's what you have to do to acquire a player of that status.
If you look at your lineup today, you see a lot of youth sprinkled in there, and some really high-end youth. I think of someone like Anton Frundell or Frank Nazar, and those guys are getting worked in. Who's that next wave of young players that you think can really help the Chicago Blackhawks in the near future that aren't named, Nazar or Frundell?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think I'd probably go to the back end off the top of my head. We've got a lot of really young, exciting players. Defensemen take a little longer than some of those forwards, and you look at the players in the back end. We've, outside of Byram, who's he's still fairly young himself. We got Alex Vlasic, Artem Levshinov, Sam Renzel, and then even guys that are trying to still establish themselves in the NHL, but we've got all the confidence in the world in like Kevin Korchinski and Ethan Del Mastro. And, we got Wyatt Kaiser back there is another exciting young defenseman. So we've got a lot of young players that are coming and pushing for spots. And we've got waves coming too within our prospect pool. And so we feel we're very well prepared and set up for the years to come as these guys mature into pro hockey and then into the NHL. And so, we're really excited about a number of guys coming up through the system.
So, we're pretty well into the offseason now. We're 3 weeks removed from July 1st and free agency officially opening up, but there are still a number of players who are available, including Patrick Kane. I'm sure you're aware of this. Connor was asked about it yesterday, I believe it was. How would you feel about Kane returning? Do you want to address that, the idea of Patrick Kane, the Blackhawks? Is that something you're entertaining at all?
Yeah, Patrick's someone that our organization and myself have had a relationship with for a long time. I don't necessarily think it's right for me to comment on what the process he's going to be running this offseason. A guy like Kaner has done pretty much everything there is to do in our game. He's inspired probably every young player playing hockey out there today with what he's accomplished, and he's earned the right to take his time and make a decision. We see him very often. He trains at our practice facility in the off season, and so we'll await his decision. But he knows that our door is it's always open, and he's a Blackhawk at heart for life, even if he's not wearing our jersey. But we've got a great deal of reverence, respect, and love for Patrick Kane, and so we'll leave him to that decision, and we'll see where he ends up when that day comes.
Chicago under your guidance was a team that really kind of stripped it down to try and rebuild it. And there was there's a lot of people that look at their own franchises and organizations and say, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we take our time and do this thing the right way? And you guys have clearly, you're en route to doing that. How much urgency at this point in your rebuild do you feel to really leapfrog and take that next step in the standings?
We're certainly intent on pushing and taking a meaningful step. I think we were on our way to taking a very meaningful step last year before, injuries and that sort of thing happens. But certainly in a rebuilding scenario like ourselves, you're a little bit behind the eight ball from a depth perspective, and so we suffered a little bit on that end last year and weren't able to sustain our early season momentum throughout the year. But with once Connor gets back in a fully healthy lineup, we feel like we're in a position with some of the additions we've made to date to take another meaningful step and push for the playoffs and playing those meaningful games late in the season. I think that's why you saw us go out and acquire a player like Byram, where we're intent on pushing this thing forward. And, I think it has to make sense. It has to fit the timeline. And if we're going to expend significant assets, then they've got to be players that we see as part of the solution for the long term. But, I think we've identified and shown that if there are pieces out there to do just that, then we're willing to strike. And so we're excited to get going. I know there's still a little bit of time left in the off season, but there's an excitement in the building. There's an excitement even with players leaving at the end of the last year that they're ready to put in the work and come back hungry to take another step in the fall.
When you kind of tear it down and try and build it back up, did you think, or is it more difficult than maybe you thought to acquire the right veteran pieces to surround your young guys with?
I don't know if it's more difficult. It's, I do feel like we were perhaps lucky to find some of those guys, some of which, are recently departed, Nick Foligno and Connor Murphy. And Connor was already here before we started the official, rebuild when I took over. But Jason Dickinson came in. These are just, in terms of leadership, these guys are elite. And as this thing takes off and proceeds over the coming years and we, hopefully grow into the standings and progress into a playoff team in time, their fingerprints are going to be here long after that, they've departed, just because they were such great leaders. They were such great mentors and showed what it means to be a pro and what it means to compete day in and day out. And so we're very fortunate to have some of those leaders in the past, and we've got some great ones remaining within our locker room. And so we've been really fortunate from that end to have those guys internally and help push this along and mentor some of the young players.
With Kyle Davidson, GM of the Blackhawks, we'll get you out of here on a projection for the rest of the offseason, and hopefully you can represent the whole league for that standpoint, because generally it kind of shuts down. There's still free agents out there, but everyone kind of relaxes a little bit until we get to September. Is that what you're anticipating, or do you think there's still some activity going on around the NHL?
Yeah, well, I think there's always activity, the 31 other managers are, they're competitive guys. We're all competitive. We want to continue to improve our rosters, and that process, it honestly just never ends. And so, I would expect teams to keep pushing, and whether anything comes to fruition is a different story, but I don't think that pursuit ever halts, to be honest. It's a year-round endeavor, and we're going to keep pushing, and I'm sure other teams will too. So, maybe it's quiet until the fall, but, we'll see. Guys are going to keep trying, and we're certainly part of that group.
Kyle, always nice to catch up with a guy who spent some time up at Laurentian in Sudbury, Ontario.
There you go.
Hey, Frankie, I was actually, I wanted to mention this. I was lucky to enough to be in the draft room, Mike Foligno let me help out around the Wolves when in the 2009 OHL draft when the Wolves were excited to select an exciting young defenseman from the Vaughan Kings. So I was in the room when that happened, and it was a kind of nice, cool, full circle moment for myself seeing you do so well. And I know I've got a bunch of buddies back home, and the group chat was blowing up a little bit when they saw my name flash across the screen and see that I was going to be on the show today.
I love it.
It's kind of funny, eh? Like, you could be named general manager of the Blackhawks, and you'd be like, "Hey, congrats, buddy! You're going to be on OverDrive today."
We're huge in Sudbury. They love us up there.
Oh, you guys are big in Sudbury, believe me.
That's awesome.
We
man.
love
Very
hearing
cool
that
stuff.
Great stuff. Great catching up with you. Thank you for doing this, Kyle.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Kyle Davidson joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. It's time to Toyota. Check out the Toyota Tacoma and Toyota Tundra pickup trucks, both available as hybrids. Maple Toyota near Canada's Wonderland and the Maple Auto Mall. I haven't been up to Sudbury in a while. It's been probably about 20 years since I've been up there, but man, I love that building. It was such a great building.
Yeah, they're building a new one.
It's a shame. They better keep that wolf. They better have that wolf, man.
Yeah.
That thing's got to, it's got to get to center ice and back whenever they score. It's
Dude, you know what I wonder? Like, if OverDrive did an OHL circuit, what city OverDrive would be the biggest in? Sudbury would be top 5.
Sudbury would be very high. Yeah. Sudbury, we got a lot of support up there.
I think Barrie,
Love Sudbury.
your ties to Barrie.
Yeah, Barrie, I think there'd be a lot of connection to Barrie. I think you're probably right with that. I don't know. That's a good question.
Windsor, I could see this being really big in Windsor.
I think Guelph, because of O's connection.
Yeah.
I got to believe that we've got a hefty amount of support in Guelph. Got Bob McKenzie in Kitchener. I know Bob's still checking in.
Yeah.
Bob's doing his thing.
Well, with the Rangers and the Memorial Cup, I did get a little Hayes is a fraud. Like, I was getting that out there.
It's still
Kelowna.
around. It's still kicking around. It's still out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's not going to die.
No.
That's
and
fine.
Football season's around the corner. Luke and O are going to be saying it nonstop.
Yeah, it's getting close, man.
Did you get any of that out in Cabot? Like, were you getting Hayes as a fraud?
No, I don't remember any fraudulent conversations or comments. I don't remember. I ran into a bunch of people, though, that, talking about, generally it's the Leafs, the Jays, a little bit about the World Cup, a little bit about the golf game. It's awesome out there, man. I love that place. Like, it's very patriotic too, Like, you grew up, you hear about places like Pinehurst and Bandon, and of course great spots in Scotland and Ireland and England, etc. It's amazing that we got a place like that. That's like a marquee spot, in the country, and it's a great place, great hospitality, great staff, great people up there. It's awesome.
I think I saw you post a pretty good number. Like,
I did.
Did you fire a 79 out there?
78.
You fired
actually.
a 78 out at Cabot.
78
Cliffs
off the cliffs.
Or links?
Off the cliffs. Yeah.
Wow.
I was on fire. I was actually the high man. So I was playing with a few guys. 2 guys shot 70. My boy Donnie shot 75. So I was 78, and I was holding people back. That's how
crazy.
good everybody else was.
Yeah.
So we felt
See what
pretty
happens,
good about
bud?
ourselves.
You need to be surrounded by people that are better than you.
And that generally is kind of what happens on the golf course, but maybe it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I don't know, but very comfortable out there.
This is the issue with you hosting this show, is that you're always the smartest guy in the room. You need to be surrounded by smarter people than you in order to really hit your potential.
Yeah. Well, that's what's coming in September. You're actually kind of jumping the gun on our big promotion. At the O-Dog and Noodles, IQ through the roof. For season 11 of OverDrive, starting right after Labor Day. That's what the script writers are going to put in next year's script.
Is that IQ through the roof? That's
IQ.
your new slogan?
Yeah, IQ through the roof. That's what's coming in September. All right, Confirm or Deny coming up. Best bets later in the hour. OverDrive continues up on YouTube Live.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Boston trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, Confirm or Deny, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. All right, I love it. Confirm or deny. Statements are made. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very similar to another segment that was being played on the show last week. I'm not allowed to say it.
We had to pivot. It felt weird to not play. You know what I'm talking about.
Watch it.
I can't say it.
Be careful. You can say it in French. I've confirmed that. Wigi Nangi. I think we're allowed to say that. Yeah, I think so. All right, confirm and deny. Statements are made. Again, we confirm them or we deny them. I cannot believe that this is a legitimate confirm and deny, but it is. And it actually is worthy of debate. Confirm or deny, Vladdy Jr. ends the season with 10-plus home runs.
Did you just say 10-plus?
Yes, he's got
runs?
6 right now, and they got 62 games to play. Right, 4 home runs in 62. This should not be debatable. Like, forget what he's done already. If I phrase it differently, can he hit 4 home runs the rest of the year? That is insane. That's a question. But he's on pace to not hit 4 home runs the rest of the year. So go ahead.
Confirm. I'm going to confirm because, A, this is a guy who is a $500 million player who hits home runs and hits for power. Is he doing it right now? No, absolutely not. But in 60-something games, can he hit 4+ home runs? Yes. And if he doesn't, my God, am I worried. Now, I'll say this, though. If you phrased this question and said 14, like Vladdy can get to 15 home runs this year, I might be saying deny. But at 10+, I'll say confirm.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, he hit one to the warning track last night. Again, it doesn't mean anything, but off the bat, I thought, all right, there it is. He's finally got a home run at the Rogers Center. I'll confirm it because I think what could happen is he might hit 4 home runs in the last 7 games of the season, right? Like, he'll just get red hot. He'll have 2 home runs in a game, September 25th, then hit one on the 27th, then hit one on the 29th. Like, I could see that happening. And, again, he's on pace for less than that. He's on pace for, like, 9 home runs. That's what he's on pace to do.
And it's crazy to say that.
It's absurd. Like, this is truly one of the more staggering confirm or denies to read. If you were to jump in a time machine and go back to April 1st, and again, you say, no, he's healthy. He's playing every single day. Like, this guy, I would have figured he'd have 10 home runs by the middle of May, possibly. Honestly,
yes.
the way he finished last season, I thought he was going to come back and just pick up where he left off and chase 40 home runs and chase an MVP.
Dude, that's it. That's the number right there. You just said it. Like, going into the season, I'm like, the way Vladdy played in the playoffs and the fact he was able to really rise to the occasion, and now he's got the deal done. Like, it's 40+. Is it going to be 40+ every year? No, you're going to have down years. But, man, to think that we're sitting here on July 21st talking about 10+ is crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is. But we're both confirming it. So a little bit of positivity, a little bit of optimism here. We're believers Vladdy's going to hit 4 more home runs.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yeah. All right. Confirm or deny, one of Kevin Gausman or Shane Bieber will be traded by the deadline.
I'm going to confirm that. Like, they're both UFAs, right? Like, Gausman was on a 5-year deal. It's up this year, right?
Yep. And Bieber he picked up an option, 1-year option.
That's right. He picked up the option, which at the time everyone was like, okay, there's something to that. Why would he pick that up? So, now that Bieber's pitching, Gausman has been inconsistent. I still think there's something there that a team is going to say, we'll take depth. We need to bolster our rotation. And the fact that both those guys are UFAs, it makes it easier for the Jays to digest making a move like that. So yeah. I will confirm.
I would too, and I wouldn't be shocked if both of them went. Like Bieber went through this dance a year ago where he was recovering from Tommy John. He didn't get back until September, and he gave them some pretty good stuff. Like he was a part of the rotation for all 3 series in the playoffs. He wasn't great, but he was good. And like he got hit early in games, but generally he got through it and he gave them pretty good production. Gausman, his last 7 or 8 starts have been troubling, but it's not an injury thing to my knowledge. Like if he's healthy, you reset him. I think there'd be a market out there for him. Be disappointing to see them go, but I think if they're going to sell, and if this continues for the rest of this week, 3 more against Tampa, then at Fenway for 3, they drop 4 of their next 6 games, then that's it. It's white flag time. You're 7, 8 games out of a playoff spot. It's over. It's done. No one can pretend to be optimistic or pretend like it's going to change. And then everything has to be on the table, including 2 guys who are not going to be a part of your team next year.
Well, let me ask you this.
And that's what's going to happen with these 2 guys.
You know what, they're probably not going to be a part of the team, or maybe you have plans that they're not going to be a part of the team, but how much do you care about the return? Like if you're shopping both of those guys, are you just doing it just to do it and bring something back? And if it hits, great. If it doesn't, or are you trying to bring back something that is more
that generally
a sure
matters.
thing?
Like there is an element of pride that comes with the front office, right? Where they set a price and they don't get off of it. And I think that would be what we would need to know, which we don't. What would be the asking price from Ross Atkins? Like if Gausman is available and he's out there, what does he have in mind that is mandatory? And it's a negotiation. You're not going to get everything you want.
Yeah.
But we've seen it before with every team. All 3 teams, the Blue Jays, the Raptors, the Maple Leafs. The Raptors were most famous when Masai was running things. He would not budge, even though they weren't very good and the player was going to leave. The Lowry situation was the best example of that. Wasn't going to do it. He had a price, and he wasn't going to allow other teams to take advantage of it, because if you allow them to take advantage of you now, they're waiting for you in the offseason too, right? Yeah. So that's an important detail that we don't have. Like, what are they willing to trade him for, or both of them for? But I think, if it's even close to the price being met, you pull the trigger on that. Confirm or deny, Macklin Celebrini, who still has a year left on his deal, but can negotiate an extension as of now. Macklin Celebrini, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, all of them going into the final year of their respective contracts. All of them will make more than Leo Carlsson's $18 million per year.
Oh, I am going to deny that. I think there's going to be one of those guys that maybe slides in a smidge under Leo Carlsson and is going to look at his team and say, I left some money on the table for you guys. Go ahead and spend some money because we want to win a cup here. And I think if you look at Macklin Celebrini, he would have every right to push for the 20%, which I guess is $20.8 million going into next season. Doesn't have to, though. He can get a certain percentage of the cap that will make him feel good about his number. For Quinn Hughes, that's an interesting one, Hayes. Like, they have Kirill Kaprizov making $17 million. So if Quinn Hughes is going to go to Minnesota and say, I want $18.5 million, that's a lot of money tied up in 2 players. 2 really good players, but that's a lot for 2 guys.
I don't see why he wouldn't do that, though.
No,
if you're Quinn Hughes, like, you have no obligation to Minnesota. They traded for you. They're desperate to keep you. Kaprizov, they paid because of what he represented there.
Yes.
But Hughes is better. He's more important in terms of wins and losses.
He 100% is. The guy that I think would maybe slide in a little under is Cale Makar. It's Colorado, man. Like, they're up against the cap. They got a really deep team. They got to make sure that they can ice a deep team like that. And they kind of fizzled out last season. I could see Makar maybe being the guy that's most likely to do that. But that wouldn't make him. Yeah. I don't know. To your point, maybe that makes him the second highest paid defenseman because Hughes would topple it.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna confirm it because, a year from now the cap's going up even more than this, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's obviously you're projecting what it's going to be, and that's what they would be, basing this contract off, what they think the cap is going to be. But if it consistently goes up every single year, if it's going up $6, $8, $10 million. The 3 of them, those are 3 of the, you could argue 3 of the 5 best players in the league.
Yeah.
Certainly 3 of the 6 or 7 best. Celebrini's different because he's an RFA, but he is in the in my opinion, the lineage of McDavid, Sid, Ovi, where he's different. Like what experience he has, restricted, unrestricted, what have you, it doesn't matter. He's that good, he's that important that it's a blank check scenario, right? He's going to make a call.
Yes.
Obviously, Mike Greer is going to do everything he can to save every dollar he can for the Sharks, and he will lay it on thick as he should. We got to pay other guys, and we don't want you to be here on your own, and we believe that we're building a winning program here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it may land. It's only going to land to a certain extent, though. He's getting more than Bedard. I can guarantee you that. I'd be shocked if he didn't make more than $15 million per.
He's going to make more than Bedard.
Yeah,
he has to. At that point.
He has to, especially if it's coming up a year later as well, and the cap's going up more.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm Celebrini, probably out of principle, I would say I'll take $18.1 million just to say I'm ahead of Carlson, and even that's a discount. And I think the same thing would apply with Hughes and Makar. Like Hughes would be interesting because I think Makar, and I could be wrong, but I would guess he takes max term, and I could be wrong on that, but I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think you can get 8-year deals anymore.
No, it's going to be changing soon.
Yeah,
in September. You can't get an 8-year deal.
So what
anymore.
It'll be a 7-year deal,
it's
I
like
guess.
a 7-year for if you were staying with the same team, and 6 if you were a UFA.
So I could see him doing a max term, though. And if that's the case, then I think he's going to get paid, and it'll still likely be a discount, years 3 through 7. But if Hughes signs a 3-year deal at like $20 million, that'll be wild to see. But I wouldn't be surprised, Frankie. Yeah. I would not be surprised at all if he said, I'll stick around. I like Minnesota. I'm not staying for 7 or 8 years, but I'll give you 3 years, but you got to make me the highest paid player in the league.
This is the thing that Billy Guerin is up against. He was up against it with Kaprizov, where Kaprizov had all the leverage. What's your choice? Let him walk? Okay, your team's terrible now. So what are you going to do? So you pay him. Okay, you traded a lot of your future for Quinn Hughes, so you're not going to pay him now? No. You're right. If he wants $20 million, you're going to pay him $20 million. I was thinking, when you mentioned Celebrini and all these guys being top whatever players in the league, like where does Celebrini land on your top 50 when we're doing it in September? Because there's
in the top 10,
not,
100%.
Oh, forget about top 10. I'm wondering if he sneaks into that top 5.
Well, honestly, I think as of now, I'd have Connor 1. I'd still go McDavid 1. I might have him 2 on my list.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
He might be number 2. Like it's projecting for next year. I get it. McKinnon, Kucherov, Makar, Hughes. I get it. Draisaitl. But if he grows on what he did last year, Frankie, there is a legitimate chance he's the best player in the league next year. Like a real chance Celebrini's the best player in the league.
Well, think about that. For the longest time, it was Crosby at 1 until McDavid came into his own, and that was it. It's been McDavid's list.
Mm-hmm.
If you could pick one guy to overthrow McDavid at some point when we're doing this list in the next few years, I think it's Celebrini.
Yes,
because Draisaitl's had his chance, McKinnon has had his chance. All these, Kucherov, no one's done it, but this is the guy that can do it. If
that'll be interesting. Okay, let's do that. Confirm or deny on the fly. At least one member of the TSN panel or voting, panel will have Celebrini number 1 on their list.
I'm going to confirm that. I think there's always just someone who's the smartest guy doing that list that has to send it in and follow up with Lehner and say, did you see what I put at number 1?
See what
do
I
you think of that?
Check this out. I got Celebrini at 1. Yeah. And then he gets really crazy. He's got McDavid at 23, right? Projecting an injury, and it's just, really putting a lot of thought into it.
Crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm with you, though. He was... last year, Kucherov won the MVP. McDavid was brilliant. McKinnon was brilliant. Celebrini was right there with them. He was right there, playing on the worst of the 4 teams.
Yes.
With the least amount of help around him of the 4 teams. By a significant margin, in my opinion.
All right, here's one on the fly for you. Confirm or deny, at some point in his career, Macklin Celebrini will overthrow Connor McDavid as the number 1 player on TSN's top 50.
Yes, confirm.
That's the guy.
That's happened. Yes. As of now, we'll see what happens with Bedard. We'll see what happens with Leo Carlson. There's other really good young players in the league. But he is what he's done the last 2 years, and this past year in particular, 40-plus goals, 115 points. He played for Canada. He was maybe their best player, close to it. He was so good at the Olympics.
Dude, he was a dog.
He was
capital
unbelievable
D dog
how good he was. He is clearly the guy like waiting for the baton to be passed. The question will be, can he take it from McDavid, which is what I think you'd be hoping for if you're a hockey fan. Like, I don't want to see McDavid fall off, and I don't think he will. Like, I think he's still got, it's not going to happen forever. Like, Sid, the same thing. Sid is a dog. Sid is a guy that works his ass off all the time. By the time Sid hit 32, 33, it was McDavid's turn. And that's probably Connor in the next 2 or 3 years, where just naturally he's going to be at a different point in his career. But I'd love to see a true battle. And you could argue that's been happening. Kucherov won the Hart this year. McKinnon won it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, those guys have been fighting for that mantle with McDavid. But the idea of Celebrini, officially being a part of that race and maybe isolating the two of them in particular, that would be really, really cool. They're both in the same division, play each other a bunch. That's what I'm looking for.
And San Jose, like, there's something about that team when they're really humming and that building is cooking. That's a fun market, man. They've been starved for it. They haven't had it for quite some time. But that's gonna come alive again with Celebrini and company.
Big time. Confirm and deny, Tom Brady wrestling Logan Paul will be a box office smash.
Well, I'll confirm that it's going to be a box office smash because people are dumb and they're going to spend money on it. But doesn't mean it's going to be good. It's just I don't know, man. Why does Tom Brady need to start getting involved in these types of things? Like, he's slapping him out and he's giving him the finger. Like, is he okay?
Yeah. Well,
does he need money? Like, what is this a bucket list thing? I don't understand this thing, man.
I don't either. It's clearly a manipulated, plan and script here that they're doing. Brady and Logan Paul, them at the World Cup final. And I think it's being reported that that's where it's going. Like, they're going to be at WrestleMania or something. I don't know what they're going to do. My theory on Brady, like, I do wonder financially. I don't know. I know there was some crypto stuff going on, I think. A couple of divorces can cost you some money.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Tom's made a lot of money, and he's still making money. He's still the lead analyst for Fox, making almost $40 million a year. But I do wonder if it's that this guy, for 25 years, was so locked in on football that never allowed himself to let loose or try things that he wanted to try. And now that he's out of the game, he's catching up on lost time, and like this one in particular is a little bit strange, but it wouldn't be the first time. Like, this is what wrestling does. They build up main events. They get people involved somehow. There's been a lot of celebrities, former athletes that have been involved in, wrestling stuff and storylines, et cetera. And I just wonder if that's what's going on with Brady, that now he's out, he's single, and he's like, I'm just going to do whatever I want. Maybe he was a huge wrestling fan growing up, and this is what he always wanted to do.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly,
I don't know.
Who knows? But there at the crux of it, it's like if someone's going to throw a pile of cash at you to do something that really isn't that difficult and you don't mind doing it, you're probably just going to do it.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit bizarre. Like, it's not what I was expecting. Like, his career in New England in particular, he's pretty isolated up there. He just kind of went about his business, didn't say a ton. That was probably the Belichick regime and him understanding that, he was the leader of a team that was going to win and have high expectations every year. But what he's done post-playing career has been pretty unique. I mean, he's out there. He's doing everything. He's everywhere. He's on social media all the time. He's in the media. He's part owner of the Raiders. Like, the guy's all over the place.
It all equals dollar signs, man. Like, it's literally that you just become he has been a business for a long time, but that's as far as I'm concerned, that's all it is, just accumulating dollars and however means necessary to do it. Yeah, well, that's what's coming here for sure with Tom Brady. All right, best bets coming up. Dollars on the line. We got to pick a winner tonight. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. There's a really cool, betting option when it comes to baseball and specifically batting props. There is a hit a moonshot prop bet that you can make, which effectively you can pay, someone's going to hit a home run plus 400 feet, plus 420 feet. Vladdy's paying 18-1 on a moonshot tonight, 420 plus feet. I'm going to take it. All right.
You just think he's due.
He has to hit one, and I think when he does, he is going to demolish a baseball. Like, that's what I think is going to happen. I don't see a scenario where it's like a Joe Carter in 93. It just gets over the wall.
Yeah.
It's a frozen rope that just holds its spot and barely gets over. I think he launches something when he gets it.
Frustration ball.
Yes, and I think he's going to stare at it and watch it leave the park. I can't guarantee you it's going to be an important hit in terms of where the scoreline is and what's happening with the rest of the team. But I'm going to sprinkle on old Vladdy tonight, 18-1. Call me optimistic. Call me crazy, quite frankly. But if he hits one, I think he launches one. I think he crushes one. All right?
Fair. Yeah.
There's your prop bet tonight. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Same-game parlays available for every MLB game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 19+, physically located in Ontario.
Let me ask you this, Hazy B. How many guys you think went to a driving range or went to their course and started hitting shots like Ryan Fox and tweaked something this week?
He has such a bizarre setup. Like, he's got the pointy foot. Like, the front foot is pointing forward. It's a bizarre stance. He's got a kind of a wacky swing, but he just steps up and smacks the golf ball.
Just torques the ball. I'll guarantee there's at least a dozen golfers in the GTA that did that and went home to their wives and said, "Hey, I tweaked something at the range." Why? Why'd you tweak something? I was doing something.
Playing too
fast. Trying to hit the ball.
Trying to play like Ryan Fox. Yeah. Because he swings out of his shoes too, man. Like he has a deep backswing, and he comes through like with some pretty significant pace, and it's just a funky setup. Like, I watched him at the Canadian Open. Like, I was behind the ropes watching him. I'm like, this guy's got a wild setup. But he picks a club, he picks a shot, and he steps up. He gets in his funky delivery, and he just hammers golf balls around the park.
It's great. Pace of play, baby.
Yep.
Let's keep it going.
It's an amazing
brisk.
thing. Yeah, I don't think he's at the 3M this week. I'm pretty sure he's not going to make it.
He withdrew from that, which is a tale as old as time.
What a shock that he's not going to make it to beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota for the 3M. Shocking development. All right. Good stuff, Frankie. Thanks for doing this, buddy. As always, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out today. We appreciate that. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, up on YouTube Live, and soon to be streaming up on Crave. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
The Amazing Race Canada, all new, tonight at 9, 8 Central on CTV.
All we gotta do is win. So if they sleep on you, tuck them in. Meet me at the top. If you bought, I'll drop my pen. So many stars in the making, thank you, sing. Eyes on the prize, I say passionate. I got the sauce like Diana, vision like Matheson. They say patience is a virtue, so I went around the world and back again. Now NSL be on the map, no more imagining, it's happening.